Mallory, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Mallory Hasbrook. I'm an attorney with Wellborn, Sullivan, Meck, and Tooley in Denver. I'm primarily practice estate planning, probate, and elder law, but I also do some real estate and oil and gas work as well.
Great. Good morning. Lori, good morning. Oh. No, okay. I'll try to circle back around to you. Sharon, good morning.
I'm Sharon Birnbaum, and I'm a personal trainer. I specialize in working with older adults, and I'm also certified in nutrition. Thanks for having me today.
Great. Welcome, welcome. Karen Miller, good morning.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm Karen Miller of KSM Designs. I design one of a kind. I do retail wholesaling, and I refurbish, recycle, and redesign jewelry. And also I'm in 2 stores at this point, looking for one more, A Brigada and in Conifer, and then in Belmar, it's a touch of Colorado. And I do everything from restringing to knotting pearls and all that kind of stuff. So if I can help you at all, let me know. Karen Miller from KSM Designs. Okay.
Great, great. Chrissy, and maybe Brandy, but healthy smiles. Welcome. Oh, you just muted yourself. Sorry.
There we go. I'm Christy with Healthy Smiles. I'm the person that you come to when you want the most thorough and gentle cleaning, and don't want to be told every time you go to a dentist that you have some work that needs to be done. I can refer you to a dentist if I find something that needs to be done, but I get nothing from that. So I won't be like finding things that just magically appear in 6 months. And unfortunately, Brandy is leaving me to find a position that she will have benefits with. And so I'm very sad about that. But if you know anybody that is looking for a job, we work Monday through Thursday from about 8:30 to 6:30, and just send them my way.
Great. And I will be seeing you this afternoon. So,
Yes.
Because I trust you with my mouth. All right. Audrey, good morning.
Good morning. Hi, sorry, everybody. I'm Audrey Krabs with Aging Services Consultants. I serve as a care manager and also as a placement referral specialist for people that are transitioning into new life stages, meaning that if they have to move possibly from their home to an assisted living community or independent community, you can give me a call. And my services for transitioning are at no cost. And as a care manager, the initial consultation, if people need help with doctor's appointments as eyes and ears, if maybe family's out of town and they just need some assistance, call me. Initial consultation is free, and I look forward to working with somebody that needs some assistance. Thank you.
Great, great. Brooke, good morning.
Oh, good morning. I had to turn my camera on there. My name is Brooke Malcolm. I actually work for the federal government in wildland fire, but my husband and I just started a small business in Bailey. The Yum Bus, my husband is a chef, so he started the food truck. We've been open now for about 3 weeks and things are going well, but I thought it was probably time for us to make our presence here. So I'm taking a little break from my regular job this morning to join you, and I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you. Does the bus, is it in one location or does it move?
Right now we're in one location. We're right behind the Loaf and Jug at County Road 43 and 285.
Great, great. Well, welcome.
Thanks.
Sara, good morning.
Good morning. You want me to go ahead and do my spiel stuff?
Well, let's just
say
do
who I am.
Do a quick introduction, and I think I got everybody, but I want to double check just before we dive into things. So.
Okay. So I'm Sara Gardner. I'm a wealth advisor, and so I'll be talking to you a little bit more about accomplishing your financial goals, which is fairly broad. So I'm going to leave it open for you guys to answer questions too. So if there's anything that you're writing a check for that you're wondering about, think about it, and it'll be an open forum. So we'll talk here shortly.
Okay, great. Let's see, Lori, are you, yep, looks like you're not unmuted.
Yes, thanks. Sorry, we got new computer systems and mine's not connecting to audio, so I am on the phone. I am Lori with PeaceWorks. We're a nonprofit domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, and sex trafficking organization here in Mountain Jeffco in Olive Park County. Stop by at Bailey Days and visit. We'll have some literature. We have some great fun t-shirts with some really cool slogans to spark some conversations within the community. So hopefully we'll get to see some of you and meet you in person. And that's it. Thanks, Steph.
Okay, great. Okay, did I miss anybody except Susan? I know that I purposely skipped you, but is there anybody else that didn't get a chance to introduce themselves? Okay, great. So, all right, so Susan Young, welcome, welcome. I'm just going to do just a quick little brief intro for her. Her clients call her mesmerizing, a life-changing storyteller. She's an award-winning visibility strategic and CEO of Get in Front of Communications, which is a 21-year-old consulting company. She does online coaching. She teaches entrepreneurs how to confidentially share their story so people want to buy. A former radio news anchor and publicist, that's fun. Susan has interviewed everyone from homeless people to presidents. So honored as Entrepreneur of the Year, and her favorite achievement is being named one of the top 75 badass women on Twitter. So that is fun. I will find you on Twitter. So I've already gone into LinkedIn and connected with Susan, so I certainly encourage you to do the same. We'll ask Susan to put all of her contact information in the chat. And so let's welcome Susan Young. Welcome. Thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you, Steph. I appreciate this opportunity to meet some of the women in the mountain area and outside of Denver, and especially Deb Evans for introducing me to you folks. As we say in New Jersey, you guys, which is where I'm from, but I live in San Antonio, so we say y'all. So I might just mix things up a little bit. I'm very casual, so feel free to just take some notes. I'm going to drop a lot of value here and encourage you to ask some questions as we get towards the end. So I have a few questions just to get started. As Steph mentioned, I'm a former radio news reporter and on-air anchor, and I guess I'm just naturally curious by nature. So I have a few questions for you. One, do people look at you kind of puzzled when you introduce yourself? Are you feeling like you're babbling when you talk about yourself and your business? Do you feel like you're missing the mark and not really hitting on what you need to include and what you need to leave out? Are you the best kept secret? This is the interactive part, okay? Yeah, okay, you can shake your heads or something or give me a thumbs up, okay? If so, it's time to let the cat out of the bag because we're in business and we don't want to be a secret. I've been in business for 21 years and I know that when we let people know and get out of our own way, you know, put ourselves out there and be proactive. That's what's really essential to us growing our business and not even so much growing our business, but growing ourselves and feeling more enriched and fulfilled and helping people and being of service to others. And I heard, you know, a few people mention that they, you know, work with nonprofits and with the government. And so, you know, I've got experience in those sectors as well. And I know that, you know, when we are of service and we help people genuinely from the heart, then things really do come back to us with abundance. So what I wanted to share with you today is about how to build your visibility and your business. And it really does come down to one thing, and it's the exact thing that you all just went through. It's the introduction. It's your 30-second elevator pitch or your introduction or someone says, tell me about yourself. And what do you say? oh no, what am I going to talk about? What do I say? Do I have the right words in the right order? Do I have the confidence and the focus to be able to say to somebody, this is what I do, this is who I am, and these are the results that I get. These are the results that I get, and that's what people are looking for. They don't care about the process, and you'll hear from me now that I'm painfully blunt. Okay, so and that's the Jersey thing coming out. They don't care about how you do it. They want to know, how are you going to make them feel better and sleep easier at night? So what are the results that you get for people? And, you know, frankly, I didn't hear, I don't think anybody, maybe one or two of you said the results that you actually get from people. What are the outcomes that you get for your clients, that your happy clients are talking about? And so that's where the introduction comes in. And that's where it's really important to have that, as I say, the ROC. Yes, the ROI is important, but the ROC is the return on communication, the return on clarity, the return on confidence. And then also think about what is the ROI and the ROC of your return on inaction. What does it cost you for not doing this work? And really narrowing in on what your introduction should be and could be in that 30-second gem that you share with other people. Because look, research shows that human beings have the attention of a goldfish, okay? It's 8.5 seconds. It's unbelievable. Now, you know, we're all bombarded with, you know, a lot of stuff on the internet and messages and alerts and pings on our phones, and we're distracted all over the place. Most of the messages that we get are irrelevant and we didn't ask for, but we are flooded with this. And so our minds are distracted, and we only have 8.5 seconds of an attention span. So are you able to not only get somebody's attention, but are you able to keep their attention? Are you able to keep their attention? And I know that with COVID, that, you know, as we're starting to emerge a little bit from this pandemic, from the past year and a half or so, you know, you're going out into the marketplace, you're going out into networking events, thankfully, you know, live in the coming weeks and months. And how are you networking, whether it's online or in person? What are you sharing with people so that they're not just collecting your business card, but they are really interested in what you have to say, and they're ready to schedule a call or meet for coffee or go on your website or ask for your business card. These are the kinds of things that introductions do. And what I really want to share with you, I have notes because I talk fast, and so my mind is like, okay, well, I want to make sure I hit on all the important things that we talked about originally to share with you in our time together. You know, so the most important thing that you're always going to have is a piece of content. It's not a blog post, it's not a video. And I know some of you struggle with doing videos and being on these kind of calls. And we'll get to a few tips with that, so stick with me here. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But the key here is what are you sharing with people? Because you probably have, as I do, I mean, I've been working for 35 years, okay? So I have a lot of experience in different areas and different sectors and different journeys and things that I've been doing. How do you encapsulate all of that into your 30 seconds so that you know what to leave in and what to leave out? How do you share that in an interesting and dynamic way that's going to get somebody's attention and keep their attention? It's important to be interesting so that people are interested. You want to be interesting to keep people interested. So it's not so much the content, it's not your video, it's not your blog post, it's not anything on Instagram or Pinterest or whatever you're doing, wherever you're networking on LinkedIn. Here's the secret, my friends, okay? The secret to your business success and to your business growth lies in your introduction. That is your biggest lead magnet. Because when you open your mouth and you speak, people are going to be intrigued or they're going to be turned off. It's that simple. Are you intriguing people? The lead magnet, when you pour into your story and your introduction and you have the right words in the right order at the right time to the right people, they will be intrigued and curious and listen to you. And if you don't, you're going to lose them in those 8.5 seconds. So when you pour into your story and you take the time to learn this craft and how to put the words together so that people are interested in you and hearing more, that is a lead magnet that pours into your sales funnel. You don't need Facebook ads. You don't need Google ads or anything else like that, or a fancy website. You need to speak and write your truth and convey and articulate and communicate that message, that 30 seconds or that spiel, I'll say, when somebody says, tell me about yourself. How'd you get here? What is your 1 minute story? So that it flows in a logical, seamless journey. You have just the right information, not everything. You don't have to start with, in my case, I was born in Brooklyn, New York in 1962 and blah, 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 and I moved to New Jersey, none of that. We need to encapsulate just the important, relevant things that are compelling, that are going to move us along this journey of how to talk about yourself and your business with confidence, with pride, with humility, and with absolute clarity. That's what we need in this time, in this day and age where we are so distracted. So when you have a great story, your introduction, you own it. It's your story. You've got this. It's just that sometimes you have to have somebody pull it out of us a little bit. Promise it's not painful, okay? It's something that we just need to, we're so involved and entrenched in it that we need outside eyes and a fresh lens and a new perspective to look, at what is important and what's important to talk about and what's important that, to leave in and leave out, especially when we talk about the results that we get for people. So you pour into your story, you work on how to write it and wordsmith it, how to deliver it with confidence with your personality. So it's memorable, it's personable, it's relatable. And that pours into your sales funnel. People will be intrigued. You don't need a budget or resources to do this. All you have to do is be able to speak on a webinar like this, go into a networking meeting for a chamber of commerce or for a meeting and talk about yourself, or even at your kid's soccer game. What does somebody say sitting next to you? Hey, what do you do? You were late for the game, or you work, what kind of business do you have? And you just explain it in a casual, friendly, charismatic way that's going to get them engaged. You want to get people thinking, feeling, reacting, and involved. That's what engagement is. Thinking, feeling, reacting, and involved. Absolutely right. I'm just reading the comment here in the chat. So I'm glad I hope you're getting all this, and that, again, we'll get to some questions in a couple of minutes. But you really want to know that this is the foundation. And so what I teach people is how to tell that story. I've been a storyteller for 35 years. I was busy telling everybody else's story. Now I was forced as an entrepreneur, as you probably have been too. When I started 21 years ago, I had to tell my own story, and I had to pour into my story. See, my background is in radio news, and I'm an old school trained journalist, meaning, before CNN and Fox and all that, there was no commentary. There was, you tell the story and my opinion doesn't matter. And so as a journalist, I would tell both sides of the story and then let the listeners decide what they wanted, to believe or what they thought was true. And that's fine. But the problem was that I paid the price, frankly, for my story, was that I didn't know how I felt. I didn't know what my story was because I was so busy telling everybody else's story. So what is your story? That's the $64 million question here. What's your story? How are you sharing it? And how can you do a better job of sharing it? Because your story is directly connected as a lead magnet to how much money you make. And I bet you, okay, every single one of you, even the financial planner, okay, Sara, I bet you are leaving money on the table every single day. Every single day you are leaving money on the table because you don't have a story that resonates with other people. Whether you speak it, whether it's on your website, whether it's in your messaging or your Facebook posts or anything else, your videos, all of this ties together. It's got to be cohesive. It's got to be consistent, and it's got to be congruent. When I learned how to pour into my own story and to really get out of my own head and get out of my own way, that's when the magic started to happen. And I've got this story funnel system that I teach people, and I've been using this to grow my business, before technology and before social media 21 years ago. No budget, no staff, no technology, and just wound up, building this business into a 6-figure company, multiple 6 figures actually, in 3 years, okay? With, like I say, no budget, no technology. So you can do this, okay? It's really just being willing to open up and pour into your story, know what's important and relevant to other people, what the outcomes are of what your clients want and what they get when they work with you, and how to pull it all together in a nice, easy way. Because storytelling is the foundation of our whole history, of our whole people. It goes back thousands and thousands of years. It's emotional, it connects us, it lets us use our imagination, it takes us on adventures, it makes us curious. And that's the human, environment and the human response. So let's work on those stories and be able to share them in a way that's going to resonate with other people, to be personable, to be relatable, and to be memorable. That's really important. Let me just check my notes here. I want to just say, okay, so one of the things that I wanted to mention too is by telling your story, I call this the power of V4, okay? It's about your vision, your value, finding your voice, which is what I just explained and talked about, with the radio thing, finding your voice and your vulnerability and putting that vibe out there, putting that energy out there, putting that feeling that you belong there, that you have every right to share your story, and people are waiting for you. They want to hear about they want to know about your gifts, your talents, your skills, your journey, your experience. And you hiding from that story and shying away from it and pulling back does no justice and does no service to anybody, because we're in business. And like I say, if you're the best kept secret, it's time to let the cat out of the bag. So it's really about finding the nuances and finding the little different things that, because you're so entrenched in your own story, because it's your life, that we often need somebody else to be able to pull out some of those nuggets and to find those nuances and to see that fresh perspective and be able to put it all together. So that's the overview here. It's obviously a lot to get into as far as 15, 20 minutes of a conversation here. I did put a link in the chat, and I will add another link once I'm done speaking here. I did want to share though 5 tips with you on video, because I know some of you are thinking a lot about video, struggling with it, want to get more involved in video. And the key here with messaging and with video is that you are the message, okay? That is my message to you, is that you are the message. It's your voice, it's your on-camera presence, it's your body language. And I'm certified in NLP, in neuro-linguistic programming. So it's how do we move? How do we behave? How do we relate to people? What's the verbal and nonverbal communication? And it's really, after I've been certified in this for about 12 years, and I've been studying it for over 22 years. And NLP is still fascinating to me, and it still lights me up. It still is really interesting to me as it applies to business. So how do you show up on camera? How can you relax and be easy and feel natural? Here are 5 tips, all right? I'm gonna make sure I hit them all. One is just start with a short clip. Nobody expects you to be Beyonce or Oprah or anybody else on camera. Just be yourself. Show up. You're gonna have to practice. You're gonna suck, okay? That I did. It stinks. It's awkward, But and again, I was radio. I was voice. That's not my thing. I was like, kind of not very animated and all. And so I had to practice, and I had to stumble through it and wipe myself off and fall down and get back up and brush myself off, and this is it, and keep going and practice and do it. So just make 30-second video clip. Maybe share one tip. If you wrote a blog post, maybe it's 3 ways to save money during the holiday season. And so you can maybe pull one of those tips out and just pop on camera, do a Facebook Live, leave it there for 24 hours, say, hey, here's my favorite tip about how to save money during the holidays. This is the key. And just do 30 seconds, go get in, get out fast. And then the next time do a second tip, or maybe do 3 tips in a row and do 4 tips and start to do a little bit longer. Remember, people just want sound bites. That's what the radio jargon is that we just want something quick and digestible. We don't want long form video. So to get started with short form videos, just use one tip, go on there for 30 seconds. Look at the camera. Don't worry about how you look. Nobody wants perfection. You don't have to be perfect. They want a real human being. So if your hair is not right, if your blouse is like this, if you're whatever, if you make a mistake and stumble on a word, just keep going. It's fine. Nobody wants to do business with a perfect person. You know why? Because none of us are perfect, okay? We don't want to be around perfect people because we judge ourselves and we judge others. So don't worry about that. Be yourself. Somebody said, make love to the camera. Just think there's really one person there. Just really get into the camera. You're talking to one person. It's not 10, it's not 20, it's not 3,000. It's just be there, get involved, and feel like you're really present in the moment, not distracted with, oh my gosh, I forgot to do this, or I wonder if the audio is okay. Just be yourself, practice a little bit, and then like I say, talk to one person. So those are the tips. Do a short clip. Use like 3 points, sum it up easily so it's wrapped up with a box and a nice bow on top. Be yourself, love the camera. And the 5th one is talk to one person. So I'm going to stop talking now because I hope I'm going to come up for air here, and I hope that you're able to take some good notes and have any questions. I'm happy to answer them and see what you guys are thinking. I'm going to stop now, and if you want to unmute or put something in the chat, I'm open.
Hi,
Wow.
Susan.
Hi there, Audrey.
Hi, it's me. Yes.
Yes.
That was wonderful. You're absolutely right. I mean, it sounds so simple, and yet it's really not. It's
not.
very
No.
it's complex because we really need to think in short bites. And as you were talking, I was thinking, damn, I didn't talk about the crisis that people are in. And that's the only time they call me, during a crisis. And I believe that's what I need to start out with the story. How many of you have older adults or are an older adult and you're in life transitions and you have crises? Well, here we go. And then you go. But thank you, Susan. Thank you for reminding us how simple we need to be, and yet how we need to hit it in people at the heart. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Audrey. And I love your perspective on that and that takeaway. So thanks for sharing that. Yeah, you know, it's funny that people will say to me, and I've been writing news and I've been a publicist for, 35 years in communication and news. And it's so much easier to write longer. It's really hard to write something short. So it's, what to include and what to leave out. I call it the agony of delete. What are you going to cut? And the Jersey thing, okay, cut the crap. Let's get rid of the jargon, the adjectives, and the rhetoric. Nobody cares about the mission statement from the business plan or whatever's framed in the office. They care about how are you going to help them? How are you going to help them sleep easier at night? How are you going to solve their problem? And so when I say it's all BS. It's really BS. And that means be the solution, okay? Be the solution. They have the problem or the pain, the boo-boo, right? This is your prospect, your ideal dream client. They have the pain, and you, as the expert in your field, and yes, you are the expert in your field when you feel confident enough to stand in that power and that truth, and you say, I have the magic pill or the Band-Aid that's going to make you feel better. Be the solution. So what are the outcomes and the results that you get for people? That's really what this is all about. So thank you. Anybody else have any specific questions about this or need help with anything I can answer?
I think sometimes it's really unusual to try to keep things really simple, but that is the secret to so much. You can blabber and stuff like this, but if you focus on a few points like you had picked out, 1, 2, 3, and keep it simple, you keep their attention, they're interested. And I think keeping it simple is the best thing you can do.
Yeah, and what's interesting, Karen, is that we overcomplicate things. We overcomplicate life. So many of us, and I think that it's and I've been called out. Look, I coach people, right? I do communication coaching, group coaching, private coaching, and my clients will say, "Thanks for calling me out on that." And I have a coach too. I've had coaches. I've invested in myself for years since I started, and I call it the illusion of confusion. It keeps us stuck. It's like we keep telling, I don't know what to do. It's like, no, you know what to do. It's just, you need accountability, and we need that support from other people who are 5 to 10 steps ahead of us. And that's where, my clients are saying, oh my gosh, you helped me get out of my own way and get out of my own head, because I kept telling myself I was stuck. It's like, no, I wasn't stuck. I just didn't, I kept telling myself that, and that's the story. And that's really what I offer training on, frankly, is that, we can share our story, our introduction with people, but it's the story that you tell yourself in your head, that narrative, that internal chatter that really matters, that negative self-talk, the imposter syndrome, the limiting beliefs. See some head shaking there. Look, I've been there too. I got a lot of awards behind me and everything, but I felt like I didn't, wasn't worthy of sharing my story, that nobody would want to hear my story, because I was, like I said, telling everybody else's story. So when you step into that magic and power, it's very liberating, it's very freeing. But you have to be willing to go there. And so once we conquer that internal story, I
Right.
call it inside out storytelling.
I find one of the things that I've come across doing retail and wholesaling in all different kind of environments, I found that you don't prejudge. What you anticipate that person is perfect for them is not what they're interested in. And after you talk to them for a while and you can see what they're wearing and if it's simple or more complicated or it's bigger, it's, but I never prejudge because I've learned I'm not always right. And
Usually you're wrong. I mean, I am too.
yes. Yes. So it's kind of interesting, you know, marketing psychology, but it's really interesting to see. And you would think the kids would go for this and the older people go for this. And it actually is just totally switched. I mean, it blows my mind. So I try really try not to prejudge.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, Karen, is that we are so quick to think, okay, this is what people want. But what I've learned in business, you know, when we do market research, is that guessing is very, very expensive. Don't guess, ask people what they want. And this comes back to another communication thing that fascinates me. A component of this is about, you know, when we're selling and we don't have to sell anything. All we have to do is have a conversation like this, something casual, and say, this is what we do. This is what it is. And we don't have to, all we have to do is listen and give. The biggest gift that you can give is the gift of your attention. Pay attention, and it's about the power of questions and the art of listening. And when you ask good questions, you get good information. If you're not getting good information from prospects or clients or whoever, you need to ask better questions. The onus is not on them, it's on you. So when you ask quality questions, you get quality information. And again, when you listen, when you actually deep listening to what the responses are without that judgment, without that, I know this or I know that, or this is what they want, because you're second guessing yourself or you're second guessing them, that's where the gold is. So it's really is, you know, it's layers and layers of communication. If your messaging is off, if your sales are off, if your engagement and your website traffic are off, 99% of everything that my clients tell me, and they get a 300 to 400% investment, a return on investment, is that it comes down to communication. It's not the Facebook ads. It's the way the message was written. It's the way you're showing up on your video and asking and sharing the details. It's all of that. So there's just a lot of layers of communication, and that's what gets people tripped up. The two cornerstones of success, in my experience with my clients over 21 years, is you have to have self-confidence. You have to be an exceptional, outstanding communicator. That's it. Everything else follows that. Dovetails off of that.
That's awesome.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. So much great information. So we're going to wrap your presentation up. I want to make sure Sarah has a ton of time.
Sure.
I so appreciate all of that knowledge. I wrote it all down. It's in our minutes, and I'll share with anybody interested. But really great information, Susan. I appreciate that. So if you can put your stuff in your contact info in the chat room before you take off, then that would really be great. So I encourage everybody to get on LinkedIn, follow her. And okay, thank you. So, and I want to just say one more thing, that this group, when I first started my business 3 years ago, I didn't have an intro. I didn't have any of that stuff. So this group really helped me hone that. It's not perfect. My 30-second spiel is not perfect, but it's really helped me figure out what I want to communicate in that very short amount of time. So thank you for hitting on those topics. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Thanks. Okay, Sarah, are you ready? Or do we still have Sarah? Let's see. Did we lose Sarah? I don't see her. Oh, there you are.
Do you find me?
Yes.
Mute is a wonderful thing. Yeah, I called in separately for a better reception, and there you go.
Okay.
So I wanted to say thank you to Susan. I've been working on the same things like you, Steph, trying to hone different things and trying to get things figured out. So,
yeah.
So again, poignant. And I've actually been advised too to try to have 3 elevator speeches, if you will, just so that it doesn't come off as canned, where you're like reading the script and now I don't care about anything. So I appreciate it. And I too have a lot of work, but I appreciate all the insights on that. And video shall come. I have a lot of compliance things, so I've been using that as my excuse not to have to do anything. So, and I will say I will excuse away. Yeah, that power of why, right? Really popular with Simon Sinek. You know, telling your story of how you got where you are. I do think helps because it makes you raw. And that opens up, especially in my field, for the clients to feel comfortable opening up. So very appreciative of that. So today, like I said, I want to make it as open as possible of a dialogue. So I just wrote down some notes to try and give a format of it as far as what I want to talk about. And it's mostly what the biggest questions are, right? So as a wealth advisor, everyone's like, oh, I don't have any money, right? But the biggest things that come into play are normally simple questions of personal finance. So how much should I have in cash reserves? How do I deal with all this debt that I have? How do I, work with a spending plan? I like spending. It's a spin versus budget. Everyone cringes when they hear budget. So I like to spend for that piece of it. So we talk about that if that's actually a need, right? So if you don't think you have the funds to save, then, going back to the spending plan. And, the thing with financial planners in general, we're agnostic. I don't care how often you go out to Starbucks and that kind of thing. My bottom dollar is we want to try and find out where there's fat, if you will, in this budget. And so talking about where that comes from, right? So I'm not putting my goals onto you, and sometimes it's helpful to kind of interject stories, right? But in the grand scheme of things, what's your overarching goal? And how do we get there, right? So that's one of the things. So you guys may be in that situation, right? So we have a diverse group of ladies here, right? And so that's one of the things. But then the other, I get questions several times on, okay, I have kids that I've got to fund for school and I've got to pay down debt, I've got this mortgage, but yet I want to retire. Where do I put my money first with the extra money? So I'm talking about those priorities, right? And I will say the pilots are right, and the flight attendants are correct in put your mask on first for survival. So if you're tight, truly, the college needs to be the back burner until you're funded for retirement. And if the cash flow isn't there. So I always say put on your masks first. And if we can fund college, great, but student loans can be paid off later once that you're ultimately in the goal. So not that you can't pay for college, for example, for kids and or grandkids. A lot more grandparents are stepping up as that being a goal for them. They want to make sure that the grandkids get in this environment and get a better option available to them. So we talked through that. But the other thing is we're all business owners, right? And so inevitably the money overlaps on the personal side, right? And so looking at both of those options. So I always like to run the bases, if you will. So you have your business side of things and you have your personal side of things. And the bases are the investment piece of it, the tax planning piece of it, estate planning, and ultimately insurance goals, right? So anytime a decision's being made is how does this impact your overarching goals, and specifically those kind of subsets. So I thought, I would open it up from that piece of it, and then ultimately, who do you leave to for your heirs, right? For the estate planning piece. So I've had the fortunate experience to work with Mallory. I've just sent her some of my clients to help with their estate planning needs, because you can have a great wealth plan and it all falls apart without having the wills, the trusts, the powers of attorneys, healthcare directives, et cetera. So working from that piece of it. So really it's what is your goal that you want to accomplish, right? And there's different stages that you kind of go forward and step back from. So that's kind of how I wanted to have our communication today. But did that trigger any questions for anybody before I start looping into anything? Okay. I'll start with just some of the basics, and that's on the personal finance side, right? So one of the things, and this is just typically, again, what's come up with my clients, is they don't understand the difference in the relationship. If you're looking for an advisor, right? They don't understand the difference between an investment manager and a wealth advisor. So an investment manager will do just that. They look at your investments and they go for broke, right? They'll invest, and their whole goal is for the growth piece of it. Well, I like that idea too, but markets do have pullbacks, right? And so what I like to look at is the overarching piece of it. So let's look at your entire balance sheet and see where we can optimize. So if you're writing a check for something, are you optimizing that? So one of the things is making sure that you have a cash reserve. A lot of people have different ways of looking at the cash reserve. I specifically mean, yes, interest rates aren't paying anything in savings accounts. You may be able to get a high yield savings account, and that's probably the best place right now for it, for a goal of about 6 months of your expenses. And so it's hard to see that money isn't earning anything, but the thing to think about is it's also there truly for an emergency when you're cash strapped, right? A lot of people will use a home equity line or even debt from that piece of it, and just swipe the card because it has to get paid, right? But that's what that cash reserve is. So if you build that cash reserve, and this is true for businesses too, you have your operating expenses, you know what those are on a monthly basis. Build a buffer for if you're wanting to expand, if you're wanting to hire someone like Susan to advance the business, you know, those kinds of goals, and any other expansion. Sometimes it's equipment expansion, that kind of thing in the business. You look at that kind of twofold. And so while I always, the clients that give me pushback, that's fine, but I want you to be optimal, right? So it's not me dictating how things are, right? And so while you're looking for advisors, it's the same thing. They should be giving you advice and giving you recommendations, but ultimately it's your money, right? For what to look for. So my idea is it costs to swipe that card at the interest rate, and how soon before you can pay that off. And the same thing with the HELOC. You're still paying an interest rate, and that's a variable rate with HELOCs or that home equity line of credit. Right? So you want to try and look at it more of your own cash flow insurance policy is how I look at it to cover that gap. If you're already having debt, one of the things I counsel on, so being part of the Financial Planning Association, we have an annual event that is pro bono, and it's every fall during Financial Planning Month, where we counsel people on personal finance to help give them a leg up. So that's one of the things you guys will end up seeing as fall approaches for availability for that. So basically a whole bunch of certified financial planners want to give back to the community, and we can answer your specific questions for that. But the biggest question is, I have all this credit card debt, right? And some of it could potentially be good, you know, which is always a nuance, right? So credit card debt, really, you just want to tackle the first forward. So the highest debt could be the way to go, or highest interest rate could be the way to go. But the other thing that you want to look at is, do you need cash flow or do you just want to pay off the debt? So there's two different ways of attacking that. I'll actually send a note to Stephanie for a website if you're concerned with that. There's this excellent website that you can go into. You put in all of your credit card debt. You tell how much you can afford to pay per month on it, and it'll show you how to tackle that debt either the fastest or that allows you the cash flow piece of it. And it's great. It's through the University of Utah Extension for that piece of it. So I've used that a lot when I'm talking about debt management. The other part is, car loans are inevitable, right? And so looking at, does it make sense if you happen to have the cash reserve, bless you, Mallory, then to go for the option of, do I take the dealership offer, right? More often than not, working with a credit union, you can get some pretty competitive rates, and at a credit union, you're a member. So really, over a bank, if you have the options available, you might want to look at that piece of it, especially when it comes to debt. So that kind of a background. And then the other thing I've been asked a lot about on the personal finance side is refinancing. So refinancing your mortgage and or student loan debt. So with that, the rates are starting to come back up, but if you have, let's call it 3.75 or even 4%, and you're planning on staying in your home, that might be a way of looking at investing, is to go ahead and do the refinance. You want to be able to recoup the cost of the refinance. I like it within a year, if at all possible. So you take the cost by the savings that you're getting, and if you can recoup that cost within about a year, that might make sense to go ahead and refinance. There is a kind of rule of thumb that it needs to be 1%, but the terms are changing. So the one thing I caution is, if you only have 10 years left, that still seems like a long time, but don't refinance to another 30-year option, because ultimately that's going to cost you more in interest. But if you can do maybe a 15 or a 20-year to help you with cash flow, maybe that's an option, right? So in the end, it all depends, right? But those are the things that we end up looking for. The other thing is paying off your mortgage. Everyone wants to be able to utilize that interest write-off, right, on taxes. But by and large, with the way the standard deductions are now, they're raised, a lot more people aren't getting to utilize that. And so does it make sense to pay it off or invest the funds, right? And again, it depends. I will say, if you're planning on staying in the home, it might not make sense to pay it off. And the reason being is it's a low interest rate compared to what the markets are doing. But the other part of it is it's a liquid asset. So it's not something that you can tap into easily without a cost. So if you don't have a lot of either savings and or after-tax dollars, like a brokerage account, then it might make sense to go ahead and build up that reserve before you worry about paying down that mortgage or taking out an equity loan as an option. So hopefully that's kind of around the personal finance that I wanted to talk about. Like I said, that's most of the questions. And then tackling the payoff option is the other. So I have my savings goals. What do I attack first? And I kind of alluded to it, right? We want to make sure you have the emergency fund or cash reserves. And then the other piece of it is making sure that you're optimizing your retirement assets and then your after-tax savings. So in a brokerage account and potentially kids' college. So I want to open it up. We have, it looks like about 5 more minutes. So I don't know if that all helped. It looks like, Alicia, you have a question?
I do. I'm kind of a cash hog, and I'll just say it because it's kind of funny in my world, but you may not find it funny. I call it my croak fund because my other half is a little bit older than I am. And so, I've got an excessive amount of cash, but I don't know where to put it. You know what I mean? I want it to be accessible. I would like it to, and again, I'm not necessarily worried about it making a bunch of money, but there's also limits on the amount of money I should probably be holding at your normal bank. Where's the best
Yeah.
place to put some of that is still easily accessible?
Yeah, so I will tell you straight up, I work with Fidelity and Schwab. I love their custodial platforms. They have excellent financial consultants there in-house that are free, so they can offer similar advice to what I'm giving. But you go into a mutual fund as an example, or what's called an exchange traded fund. They're really popular because they're low cost. And ultimately, you just, depending on the level, you might want to just look at an index fund that's a balanced index, which means it'll have stocks and bonds in it. And then the other option is a mutual fund that has a similar piece of it, I would look at. So setting aside either 6 months to a year of the cash reserve of expenses, again, just looking at expenses. And if you're above that amount, then it makes sense to go ahead and invest for that piece of it. But knowing that you're going to be subject to market fluctuations. So the balanced fund that you select, that's where either the Fidelity or the Schwab consultant can help you determine what might make the most sense for you for that piece of it. So if you're going to have issues. So a lot of times it's just you're busy, right? And probably you more so in this Colorado real estate environment. And so sometimes it's just not actually taking that next step because you're busy to stop and think, where do I need to put this fund? If that's the case, then determining what should be that balance between stocks and bonds for that exchange traded fund, again, low cost. The idea is that's a passive investment, and so it just mirrors an index in the market, right? So the portfolio managers aren't realizing that. So to kind of give you a background on that exchange traded, but we want to make sure that you're not going to freak out and sell when the market pulls back like it did in March, right? So we need to find a happy medium, and that's where the consultants can help you with that. And then ultimately, they help any level of client really, but then you go to the wealth advisor, for example, if you want that touch, they have additional consultants there. And then like myself, normally that's a $500,000 of investable assets and above for that piece of it. And then that's where you start really tailoring the portfolio for that piece of it, whether it's retirement assets, brokerage assets, that kind of thing. To get that added support. So whichever is closest here, up in the, because you're up here too, right? Up the 285 corridor. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm in Evergreen.
I think you're in Evergreen. Yeah, Evergreen. Yeah, so there's not really much around here for Schwab and Fidelity. The biggest campus is the Schwab campus.
Yeah, I've got my stuff. We've got a bunch of our stuff with Schwab. We actually took it out of Fidelity.
Oh, okay. So yes. So if you haven't worked with a consultant yet, you can just give them a call and say that you're looking for some additional help, and they can they'll have someone call you and help with that piece of it. But that is really the good options. And then TD Ameritrade's another popular one, but Schwab just bought them, so really you would be going to Schwab eventually anyway. So just FYI on that. But yeah, so hopefully that helps. And I know we just had questions, but I did leave my contact information, so I want to be cognizant of the time. If you guys have some one-off questions you want to ask me specifically, I'm happy to answer any of those questions. Probably email is best, especially if you're going to try and contact me today. I'm pretty booked up today. But if you send me an email, it's a lot easier for me to, one, give you a quicker response, or the other option is to just let me know your availability, and I can give you a quick call and answer any.
Wonderful.
Turn it back
Wow.
over to you, Steph.
Great. I feel empowered and I feel smarter than an hour ago. So thank you, both of you. All right, so just to wrap it up, it is just a little past 9. If anybody's interested in Bailey Days or Elevation Celebration, we still have, I think we still have some slots available for our booths, so you can bring your business cards and you can sell yourself under the Mountain Women in Business tent. And you don't have to pay for any of it. Mountain Women in Business has covered all the costs, so it could be a very good opportunity. Through the chamber, Bailey Days gets a ton of traffic, foot traffic. So a good opportunity to really get yourself out there and get some exposure. So if anybody has any upcoming classes or anything you want to share, please send them to us at that Gmail account at mountainwomeninbusiness@gmail.com, and we can get it posted on our Facebook page, our website. You know, we'll just cater it to whatever you need. So with that, thank you, everybody. And just email with questions. Have a wonderful day. And thanks again to our speakers.
Steph,
Yeah.
I need to
Yes,
ask
yes.
about Bailey Days. I'm signed up and I sent an email to, is it Patricia? No. Who's in charge?
Pat.
Yeah, Pat. And I haven't heard anything. I signed up for
Okay.
helping set up at 9 o'clock. I don't know where to go or what to do. So would somebody contact me, please?
Perfect. Absolutely. I will make a note of that and somebody will get to you this morning. So
Thank you.
thank you for, you'll have a great time at Bailey Days. It really is a good event for some good exposure. So
I'm sure.
okay.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right. You too. All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.